Now, Sri Lanka is facing a food shortage, the result of COVID-19 pandemic and a growing economic crisis. Basic staples like food and medicines are running out, with people queuing outside supermarkets for hours. With a population of around 22 million, Sri Lanka is heavily dependent on imports. Now, most food products and essentials are imported from neighboring countries, including India. So, for importing food and other commodities, Sri Lanka needs foreign currency reserves to pay for them. One of the nation's sources of earnings is its tourism sector, which accounts for over 10% of the island nation's GDP. But the pandemic has heavily impacted the tourism sector. Tourist arrivals have plummeted in 2020 due to the restrictions on travel, causing the Sri Lankan economy to shrink by as much as 3.6%. Currently, almost every bank in Sri Lanka is facing an acute shortage of foreign currencies. The government has put a ceiling on money that can be sent abroad. The surge in infections and lockdowns have made the situation worse. Sri Lanka's foreign reserves are depleting at an alarming rate. The inflow is a trickle compared to the outflow of cash, with the Sri Lankan rupee having already lost 7.5% against the dollar. Importers are worried that price controls will further discourage imports. Now, earlier this week, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa declared a state of emergency, allowing to dictate retail prices for essential food items and to seize stocks from the country's traders. The emergency regulations were passed in the parliament, with 132 voting in favour of it and 51 votes against it. Meanwhile, importers remain worried that the regulation could lead to a supply crisis, while opposition parties say that the move endangers the country, with parties accusing President Rajapaksa of authoritarianism. Our correspondent, Dasunia Tora, has sent us a report from Colombo for more on this story.
The proclamation of emergency services put forward by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa on the 30th of August was approved in Parliament today following a vote. Now, the results of these votes were 132 votes were cast in favour, while just 51 were cast against. Now, this allows for certain essential services to operate and function during this pandemic time, as well as the sale and supply of essential services. Now, this particular fact of essential services being in shortage in the country was spoken of highly, both locally and globally. Now, because of these emergency regulations, it will try to ensure and try to prevent hoarding, which has been taking place in the country, which also saw numerous raids that were carried out, particularly by those vendors who attempted to hoard sugar and rice imports into the country. Reporting for WION World is One, I'm Dasani Atalga.
WION, now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.